advertised. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you'd please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does he need?
Thank you and welcome, everyone. I'm sure we are not over the fire code, or somebody here would tell us, but somebody in the back there, right? Our next agenda item is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the mayor. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. And also, if you're here to comment on the public hearing, please wait until the public hearing is open. So with that, I will open for public comments. And if you have some to offer, please come to the microphone in the middle of the floor, introduce yourself and your city of residence only, and then you'll have 3 minutes to provide your comments. So are there any citizen comments tonight? Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ann Funk from Lewiston, and I feel incredibly safe right now. Last meeting, I was with a group of friends of this library who brought forth a resolution for your consideration. I'd like to thank Councillor Kleberg for bringing it forward and putting it on the agenda. I want to be very clear about what the resolution is. It has 3 components, and that's it. The first component is the history. The history of public libraries in the United States traces back to 1790 with Benjamin Franklin's donation in Massachusetts. This led to the establishment of the first tax-supported library in New Hampshire in 1833. Lewiston City Library, initiated by the Sementicum Club in 1901, marked a significant milestone in providing access to books for both knowledge and enjoyment, affirming the fundamental right to unrestricted access to library resources as protected by the First Amendment. The second part of the resolution covers Idaho code pertaining to libraries. The Idaho code grants library trustees and directors independence from direct city council supervision, empowering them to establish policies for library materials. City authorities have the jurisdiction to enact resolutions in alignment with state laws to uphold peace, good governance, and community welfare. The final portion of the resolution is hopefully your support. The mayor and city council of Lewiston, Idaho support the board of trustees and the library director in providing access to diverse materials for patrons of all ages. They affirm their commitment to maintaining public libraries as essential community hubs, especially children's literacy and parental supervision are in mind in all choices. Thank you, and I hope we have your support.
Thank you.
My name is Scott Funk from Lewiston. Rarely are you, the council, given a chance to do something positive and uplifting for the city employees, and it does not cost the taxpayers a single cent. The resolution before you today declaring your support for the city library allows you to accomplish just that. Having the good fortune to serve for 10 years as a trustee on the library board, I know the hard work and professionalism the library staff put into their tasks. When the library moved from a building originally designed as a convenience store to the incredible place that we are gathered in now, it was the staff of the library that helped design its use. I saw firsthand how hard the library staff worked to bring this into fruition. I was then, and continue to be, impressed by the professionalism displayed daily by our library staff. We as taxpayers are quick to support and defend our police force and our fire department when they are unfairly treated and held to public ridicule. They deserve our support, for what they're doing is an essential task for our society, and I applaud this. Likewise, the city library and those who work there also deserve our support. For 3 years, the libraries in Idaho have been unfairly attacked and maliciously characterized by a very vocal minority. Being on the receiving end of such falsehoods is often difficult to take and can affect the morale of the employees who work here. In today's society, where misinformation and negativity abound, it's more important than ever to celebrate institutions like the Lewiston City Library. Libraries serve as a beacon of knowledge, offering resources and opportunities for personal growth and development. Your knowledge of the important work our city library does for our community is something I'm sure will be well received and appreciated by its staff. I agree with the American writer and producer Sidney Sheldon, who once said, "Libraries store the energy that fuels the imagination. They open up windows to the world and inspire us to explore and achieve, and to contribute to improving the quality of our life. Libraries change lives for the better. Your support for this resolution can do the same." Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome, Dennis.
I'm Dennis Ortman, 510 Burl Drive. When I sat in your chairs for 8 years along with Councilor Kleberg, one of our most important moments was purchase of this building and our votes for it. I sat for 4 years as the liaison to the Board of Trustees of the library, and I'm currently the president of the Lewiston Library Foundation. And I can tell you a great deal with a great deal of interest how important libraries are. With a whole bunch of degrees attached to the end of my name, I can tell you that libraries certainly, and including this one, are the mother lode of my very existence. And it has been the same thing for Dr. and Mrs. Ortman and for our 3 children who began in this system with a degree of freedom to read what they wanted to read when they wanted to read it, and the freedom to be discerning parents as they taught their own children to read as well. This building is fantastic, but this building was not our first goal. Our first goal was to serve people. We wanted to have a building where we could have a staff, a working environment for entertainment, relaxation, scholarship, and general enhancement of this community. We knew that we hired competent personnel capable of selecting materials for a diversity in this community, regardless of their political or religious bent or their age. We also had confidence in the policies of the Board of Trustees to be able to deal with a myriad of complex issues and personalities. We even trusted the City Council to rid itself of employees who did not meet the standards of common decency or professionalism. You accomplished that. Please again, as a council of community leaders, affirm your support this evening of the staff. Affirm it with your vote tonight and your trust every single hour that you sit in those chairs while you hold your positions. Our world is pummeled with the echoes of hatred and distrust. But frankly, in this valley, we can afford to rise above the cacophony all around us.
Marcia Banta, Lewiston. It's been said that the public library is the heart of the community, and nowhere is that more obvious than in the city of Lewiston. Just the fact that you are meeting in the library, where both the city and the foundation put together a first floor and a second floor and a now too hot outside to be on patio. The foundation raised over $3 million from both individuals and businesses. If that doesn't show support for the library, I would fail to know what would. From the Parents and Children's Story Hour, The teens who actually needed to move from the teen center into this room to do their gaming because there were so many of them that wanted to participate. To the makerspace, the 3D printer, the genealogy resources, the computer and Wi-Fi space, the online resources, the public programs. I hope you've all been going to all of those. The local book club kits that you can check out, fishing poles, kilowatt checkers, chargers, phone books, magazines, accessibility items, glorious art. There are meeting rooms of every size, including this one. And of course, the books. Always, always the books of every kind and every level and for every person. And for those people who are unable to come physically to the library, there's a bookmobile on the go where they can have the same services. So why am I emphasizing all of these services, which I hope you all are entirely familiar with? As minority voices are raised in attempts to restrict library access and services to one set of ideals or beliefs, I really hope that this city council will be proactive in publicly voicing support for what is the heart of our city, our library. A genealogy of our city would show a vast inheritance of ideas, faiths, races, cultures, languages, and family configurations. Our public library honors that wide variety, that diversity. I really urge your support for Resolution 2024-15.
Thank you.
My
Welcome.
name is Helen Hawley, and I live in Lewiston. I'm a retired English teacher who comes from a family who has always loved and esteemed books. Like many, I suspect I never expected that libraries, institutions of accumulated wisdom, would become pawns in a political arena, let alone threatened with censorship of the voices they hold within their walls. Voices of diversity that make the world a more compassionate, more interesting place to live. Voices of pioneers teaching us what it's like to be first, first in a place or first of a kind. Voices of those conquered, telling us their perspective of history. Voices of those we may not have met, but who make us better people just by reading their books. Lewiston's charter speaks of the value it recognizes in its library. I believe this was true then, when the charter was written, and I hope it is true now. While we can do nothing about a law, no matter how poorly written or poorly thought out, we can let our librarians and volunteers know that we value and support them. Please pass this resolution saying just that, and let all of Idaho know that Lewiston values and supports its public library. And I'll leave you with this, in the words of one of Idaho's first educators and renowned authors, Annie Pike Greenwood. It is the public library that has provided me with the great joy of intimacy with the choicest minds of all time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Helen LaBeouf. I actually live in Clarkston, Washington, but I have been a donor and a volunteer at the Lewiston Library for well over a decade. I'm here to support the Lewiston Library resolution. Approximately 10 years ago, I remember coming to a similar meeting. Of course, it was held at LCSC in the library. Questions then about second floor funding that this foundation would provide. So I walked in with my two grandchildren. One was 2. He was on my hip. He had his library card, 2-year-old, in one hand, and the other one was 6. And we addressed the council about why they should feel comfortable with the funding that was coming from the foundation. That 6-year-old boy is now 16, and he's going to talk to you about how he feels about the library as well. My belief then and my belief now is that the library provides needed and valued services to the community. We know this for many reasons. The high percentage of residents with library cards, the many programs and services the library hosts and patrons attend, and the willingness of patrons to invest in this resource. I actually have a slightly different figure of the amount that was invested, but that's as of February 2023. I'm sure Marcia is correct. But just because something besides a round number is good sometimes, I got $2,730,522.76. That was contributed by donors in this community. By asking you to support in the Lewiston Library resolution, I am asking you not only to demonstrate your trust and support of our Lewiston Library and our Lewiston Library staff, but also honor all the donors and all the volunteers who have put both their time and their treasure to support this gem we call the Lewiston Library. Thank you.
Ellen?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address you. My name is Claudia King, and my company is Smart Solutions Incorporated, and we're based, have an office here in Lewiston. Several years ago, the Planning Commission approved the Lindsay Creek subdivision. And at that time, that was at a time where we were very excited about the subdivision. We have worked with Shan and his wife Loris for many years, and we know that they have high integrity. That when they do something, that they cross all their T's and dot all their I's. And so we were in a position that we knew that with the subdivision coming up, that we would need to be proactive about ordering things that needed to be ordered. We put a lot of money out in order to do that, and I know that several other of their vendors did the same thing. When this project was halted, Shan and Loris and their corporation were not the only ones that were hurt. Their employees and their vendors. I know for a fact that we were hurt financially in the loss of revenue that we would have had. We ended up having to order things because of, at that time, there was a lot of supply chain issues. So we had to do things in advance in order to be prepared for the project. When it got halted, it really put us in a financial bind, and it put a lot of people in a financial bind. And I understand that you will be addressing this, and it was my wish that you know that it's not a small thing. A lot of people were affected by the decision that was made to halt it, and I look forward to it being able to move forward. And I also want to say that I support the library. I know I'm really off here, but I hear all these wonderful things about the library, and me and my family, we all use it and enjoy it. And I wish you the best on that resolution as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Hello, my name is Tristan Smy. I live here in Lewiston, Idaho. I am currently a sophomore at Lewiston High School. I came to you almost 10 years ago to fight for public libraries then, and I am standing here in front of you today to fight for public libraries now. Public libraries have long been a bastion of our community in terms of education. This library specifically offers dozens of programs that help members of our community achieve a quality, good access to education. And I can personally attest that if these spaces and programs were not available, I would not be receiving the quality education that I have today. Restricting this access to materials that provide this quality education would be devastating for members of our community. The Harvard Graduate School of Education found that restricting access to materials lowers things like children's literacy rates and increases things in our community that we surely do not want. This council has a duty to serve members of its community, and supporting this resolution in favor of the library is a great way to do so.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Jarek Edwardson. I'm a resident of Lewiston, being born and raised here. I come here today to support the library. I'm passionate about this cause because I too am also a sophomore in high school. I'm an author and I am an avid library user. And I've witnessed firsthand the transformative experience that this library has had to citizens. It serves as a sanctuary of knowledge, creativity, and connection. It is a treasure trove of educational resources, a haven for local authors to showcase their gems, and a stage where readers and creators engage together. And it's more than that. It's where stories come alive. It's where a child clutches their first picture book, wide-eyed and eager. It's where teens like me find solace in novels during turbulent times. It's where senior citizens gather for book clubs, and it's where artists display their creations. When you stepped through those library doors this afternoon for this meeting, the scent of books greeted you. You saw citizens enjoying the many resources of the library, and you saw just a few of the staff that keep this place running. This resolution before you recognizes this significance. It celebrates the role of our public library in shaping our community. This building introduces children to the magic of words, fosters social bonds, and teaches responsibility. Since its founding, the Lewiston City Library has stood as a beacon, a place where preschoolers giggle during story time, where community art exhibits spark conversation, and where authors inspire us with their words. In closing, let us embrace this library as more than bricks and mortar. It's the heartbeat of Lewiston, a place where dreams flourish, minds expand, and friendships bloom. By supporting this resolution, you invest not only in a building, but in our city's future. You nurture the personal growth of many, ignite curiosity, and ensure that every resident has a chance to thrive. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Hillary Clifford. I'm from Lewiston. I'm here to support the library. I'm a member of the Library Foundation. I'm a volunteer. There's not a lot I can say that hasn't already been said in regards to the library, but I do have to say that my children were part of the Every Child Ready to Read program when they were little weeble wobbles, which was extremely huge part of their development and their love of books. My son actually started his own book club when his school didn't have one because of his love of reading, and that started here. The other thing that I think that is very vital that you all need to understand, that in this community, in every community, there's children and young adults that don't have a safe place. This library is a safe place for them to be, to learn and grow, and allow their imagination to run wild. Thank you very much for your time.
My name is Jacob Isom. I'm from Lewiston, and I'm speaking in support of the library. I am a senior at Lewiston High School. In 19 days, I will graduate as a valedictorian for maintaining a 4.0 GPA for all 4 years of high school. This year, I did my senior project on the impact that public libraries have on their communities. For this project, I interviewed our library director, Lynn Johnson, as well as collected 189 books in a book drive to donate to the library. In addition to this, I volunteered at the library over the summer reading program last year. Libraries have the power to do a lot of good in their communities, and the Lewiston City Library is a key part of our community. Our library helps spark curiosity in our youth, helps to teach people how to navigate new technology, allows people to check out books, movies, and even video games for free, and a plethora of other benefits to our community. I trust our library director, as well as the rest of the library staff, to make the right decisions for our community as far as which materials end up on library shelves, and I believe that House Bill 710, which has been signed into Idaho state law, will impede their ability to do so and impact their ability to serve our community. Additionally, I fear that House Bill 710 will be used to enforce a political agenda that targets our queer youth. As a member of LHS's Gay Straight Alliance, a student organization that advocates for the protection of queer students at LHS, I am particularly concerned with the health and safety of our queer youth in Lewiston. Additionally, some of my family members are queer, as well as many of my closest friends, as well as myself. I hope that the City Library can remain an accepting place for us and our allies. As such, I urge you to pass this resolution to support the library.
I'm Wendy Larson, Lewiston resident since 1986. I'm here to urge this council and the mayor to support the library resolution. This resolution is a show of support for our library professionals and the hard work they do curating collections that our community needs and wants. Just like we support our police and our firefighters, our first responders, our librarians are the first responders to the First Amendment and book banning. These librarians and their employees have made this a beautiful place in our downtown. And our downtown community supporting this resolution would help to show the progress being made to make our downtown a vibrant and welcoming place for all members of our community, not to mention the many visitors to our beautiful downtown. This library literally has a diverse list of community members written on its walls, and supporting this resolution and the people who work here is a cornerstone of our downtown and is at the very least we can do to show our appreciation for all the work and care they give to the patrons of this library and our community.
My name is Asher Heighton. I live in Lewiston, Idaho. If you will excuse me using my phone for just a moment to read off a quote because my printer was mad at me before I left the house.
Asher,
Yes.
get closer to the mic, please.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Now I can hear it. The phrase rush to judgment is a silly one. When it comes to judgment, most of us don't have to rush. We don't even have to leave the couch. Our judgment is so easy to reach for. This is a quote from a book that under the Idaho book ban would not be allowed in our libraries. This book is deeply important to me because it taught me about the AIDS crisis and the really horrible history behind how it was handled. As someone who is both a queer child and now a queer adult, the books in the library are resources that many kids do not have, and I would not be a reader today if I did not have access to diverse materials. When you don't have books that reflect your experience and who you are, the motivation to read is not there. There's no reason to do it if you can't find yourself. According to the Trevor Project, 77% of youth experience mental health crises and poor mental health outcomes every time a ban like this is passed, any sort of anti-queer bill is passed. And I think today you have an opportunity to rectify a little bit of that and show the youth that you support them and you support our libraries and the people here who are honestly amazing professionals who do stupendous work and have made a collection that I think is possibly one of the best in Idaho in my experience, going through quite a few of them. So I hope that you will trust that our librarians are competent and capable people who know what they're doing and deserve to protect the freedom of speech and the cornerstone of democracy, which is information. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Stout. I don't live here. I live outside of Moscow, Idaho, but my career was here in this building and through the city of Lewiston. I worked for the city of Lewiston as a professional librarian for over 17 years. Libraries ensure our freedom to read, to speak, and to participate. In 1859, Abraham Lincoln called libraries a cornerstone of our democracy. Libraries have also been called the palaces of the people. Why? Because libraries provide a safe space to access resources and materials regardless of economic status in a calm, relaxing, wonderful environment. Libraries provide unique space to learn and explore different cultures, different places, people different than you are. Libraries are the gathering places for our communities. They are also the heart of our communities. Libraries provide education, promote literacy, and honor our history, all of it. Libraries provide access to technology, and libraries help support our local economy. The people of Lewiston, Idaho understood all these things. So the women of the Dominican Club created this public library in 1901. The original Carnegie Library is just up the hill from us. And over the years, the library has expanded, including several years on Thane Road and finally residing in this beautiful structure you are now holding city council meetings in. And during all that time, thousands of children were in awe of the books and stories and songs they learned from the talented librarians at Storytime, not realizing that all those stories and all those songs were directly preparing them to be successful when they entered school. Thousands of additional children and young adults participated in summer reading programs, attending fun educational programs while reading during their summer holiday. Again, they loved going to the library, never realizing that choosing their own reading material was so empowering, creating thousands of lifelong readers, thousands of lifelong learners. Plus, of course, all that reading helped them to be successful when they returned to school too. As these children grew up, they attended reading clubs, author presentations, travelogues, and gardening classes here at the library, and then in turn, they brought their children to the library. I would like to give you some statistics. The most current statistics regarding libraries in the state of Idaho came out in 2022. We don't have the 2023 statistics yet. So in 2022, the state of Idaho received 559,927 people attending 24,572 programs held by libraries, in person and virtual. That works out to be an average of about 22.7 people per program. At Lewiston City Library, their program attendance is higher. Woo-hoo! Statewide internet usage that year was up 61% from the previous year. Lewiston was among the public libraries experiencing that increase. Many of those internet sessions were to search for local job opportunities, create resumes, and filling out job applications, all benefiting our local employers. Lewiston City Library was here for all of it, serving and enriching their community. The professionalism displayed by the librarians and the library staff continues to be exemplary. This institution should be treasured and protected for generations to come. So therefore, I urge the City Council to vote in favor of the library resolution. Thank you.
I'm Bill Grant. I'm from Lewiston. I got a copy of the list of the books that are going to be restricted. And 1984 was on that list. And I found that ironic because 1984 is about the policing and restriction of ideas and what happens when you police and restrict them.
My name is Diana Ames. I'm a resident of Lewiston. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this important issue for libraries. Most of what I was planning to say has already been said by others, probably better, but I do want to emphasize that at the heart of everything library in the country, in our state, in our community, in our region is the right to read. And that right to read doesn't begin when you turn 18. It doesn't start with supervision. It doesn't start by people telling a child what to read, but rather from the guidance that they receive from their parents. It is the responsibility of parents and guardians to ensure that their children are getting the books and the materials that they feel are necessary. One of the things about libraries that is so critical is the fact that libraries have always been a reflection of the changes in society and the changes in cultural values in a society. And over time, when those changes have brought about some kind of conflict, as I believe we are seeing right now, there have been attempts like this to censor and to limit access to materials in the library. And that's something that is antithetical to libraries in every way. They should be places, and they are places, where anyone of any age, of any ethnicity, of any persuasion can access materials that are meaningful to them, and they should be available. Understand that the misinformation that has been put out by some politicians that there is pornography in our library were both, frankly, lies, and were not retracted, although they should have been. The library collections are the result of a strong and powerful collection development policy that looks at every kind of book, material, videos, whatever they are, coming into the library. They don't come in randomly. They come in as the result of professional librarians, Director Johnson and her very competent staff work hard to ensure that they get all the reviews of all the materials that come in, and these include especially materials for children. So please don't be misled by popular, however minority opinions. Libraries are for everyone, and everyone should have access to them. And if people are concerned about their child's access to materials, then they need to follow our libraries policies, which require parents to accompany their children up to the age of 10, and then beyond 10, that there are people who are at least 15 who are also accompanying those children. And they, of course, have the ultimate say in what those children will see and check out. In the meantime, others have access to materials that are critical to their needs and desires. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott P. from Lewiston, Idaho. I would talk about the library, but I'm not really qualified to talk about that. However, I am a concrete contractor, and I'm extremely qualified to talk about the situation at Lindsay Creek, the subdivision. So to keep this is a very simple matter to me. I'm a contractor, I'm a subcontractor. I work for the city all the time. We're doing 21st Street, the ADA ramps now. Wonderful relationship with the city as we do things. But as this happened at Lindsay Creek to Shan and Loris, we were given a stamped, approved set of plans. That's pretty much end of story. That's what we build. Unless something comes up, you tweak this, you tweak that, but it's a stamped set of plans by the city. And as I know, it was in the previous city engineer, Sean Stuber's reign. And now we have a different city engineer. He didn't like some of those things. Well, that's okay. You might not like them, but until all the plans that are stamped by the previous controllers, they have to be honored. It's that simple. If you guys as the city stamp a set of prints, that is what's going to be and should be allowed to be built. It's not any more complicated than that. And as far as the effect on us as being a subcontractor, I went through the numbers today. I had an allotment for that summer of a $70-some thousand job that didn't get done. Well, the problem with that is I have to honor my contract and be there on time. Well, if that work isn't performed, I have a hole in the schedule. So it's a challenge to find the work to fill it, because if I just ignore it, then I can't get to Shan, I can't get the work done in a timely manner to keep all the other contractors in sequence to get their work done. So it adversely affected us significantly financially to have that big a job. And then the other part is those quotes were done in 2020. I just did some rough math between labor, concrete, every other expense in your guys' life as well as mine has went up. My guess is if I was to bid the exact same work now, it's somewhere between 15 and 30% increase to Shan to do the work that was already quoted. There's no way on earth I can honor 4-year-old prices. And he knows that. So all I'm saying on behalf is this wasn't somebody trying to do something outside the box. The box was there. He was coloring inside the lines and it just got shut down. Not okay. And I do support the library.
Dwayne McLaughlin from Lapway. There again, the Lindsay Creek Estates. Shan brought me in as a smaller contractor to take on all these utilities and foundations for the homes. I know when Shan first started the project, it was supposed to be a low-income housing project. That got ex-nayed. He moved forward to satisfy the folks and got a project certified to run, stamped set of plans to run with. We worked on that plan. We completed phase 1 of it. Everything went smooth. Street got put in, sewers got put in, utilities got put in. Everything ran smooth. We moved to phase 2, and that's when we got shut down. In process of that, I had hired folks to help employees on the deal. Bought some new equipment to move forward on Shan's project. Now that equipment sets on Shan's job, I don't handle that big of projects. And so the iron I bought is sitting there. I took it in the shorts. The employees I had to let them go. I just didn't have that kind of work to keep them on payroll for that big a job. So yeah, it affected all of us when that came to a screeching halt. And just hope we can come to a resolution and get this show back on the road. And Shan's been good to work with, and I know he's been over backwards for a lot of different people to make this all come together. So I'd like to see it all work back out again. Thank you.
My name is Craig Lavoie. I'm from Clarkston, but have largents in downtown Lewiston. We are one of the suppliers for the Profits in Lindsay Creek. I wish you could have seen their faces when they got the rubber stamp and the go-to for this project, and how you can let the air out of the balloon quite quickly in just a year and a half. Every contractor that has been working with the Profits, number one, they're the most honest people I know on the face of the earth. He's going to follow all the building rules, but to be actively involved in a project for that duration of time and then just say no, cease and desist. It puts everybody in a huge financial debacle. And I just ask for your courtesy and common sense. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Corey Woody, Lewiston. I'm here to show support for the Lindsay Creek Estates. We're an electrical contractor, and this stoppage of work.
Could you get up on the microphone a little bit? We can't hear you up here. It's a big room. Thank you.
I'm here to support Lindsay Creek Estates. We're an electrical contractor, and this stoppage of work has affected our business also. That's all I got.
My name's Cody Roberts, and I own Energy Shield Installation, and I also am here on behalf of Shan Profit and Loris Profit. As already said, the Profits are full of integrity, and they've, I've known them for 20 years, and I've done work for them in that time. And, when Shan got this piece, he worked super diligently to get it approved and to get it going. And essentially, when you guys halted the work, the housing market was in its peak. We had a very low inventory here in town. And as already said, the material costs were lower. And now we have larger inventory here in town, and things are more expensive to build. So it's definitely affected the bottom line on all of their subcontractors and everybody involved in that project. So just during mediation, I hope that you guys can let the project proceed. Thank you.
My name is Ann Palmer, and I own a small interior design firm here in Lewiston, which I started in 1988, which also makes you understand that I am now officially a senior citizen. And I am here to support Shan and Loris because this city needs what Shan wants to build so badly. The thing that happens when something like this project gets shut down is that the domino effect happens among all of the contractors that are involved in that project. And we're talking a lot of people. You have cement finishers and roofers and carpenters and plumbers and electricians and painters, and you have cabinet makers, and you have countertop fabricators, and you have interior designers and flooring installers and tile installers, and I can go on and on and on. And it doesn't just affect Shan and Loris, it affects all of us. We are in a position to get this show back on the road, and I hope you will give them great consideration on that. I have to tell you that you don't have to look around this room too far to see that there are many people who are 55 and older who would like to have housing like that available to them. I was at a memorial service for one of my clients this weekend, and before I left that building, I had 4 people approach me about possibly remodeling their bathrooms so they could live there safely. We need beautiful, affordable, and most of all, safe housing for our community. And that is not going to get less, it's going to get more. So please use good judgment when you're considering this issue. Thank you.
My name is Richard Kramer, and I live here in Lewiston. I'm here to speak about the resolution on the agenda where the board is going to consider giving up to $4 million of taxpayer money to United Airlines. 3 years ago, 2021, the city and the county bribed basically United to come here with $4 million of American Rescue Plan Act monies. It was naive to think that at the end of that time that money ran out, they wouldn't be back with their hand out. And now I don't believe this money is going to be American Rescue Plan Act money. It's going to be property tax owner money. And if you've got $4 million of property tax payers' money that you can afford to give to them to continue doing business here, I would say we can expect to see our levies on our taxes lowered next year. There's nowhere in America that you can fly from Denver that you can't get to from Seattle or Salt Lake City. Delta's not asking us for any money. They came here, they hit the ground running with an early morning flight out of town and a late evening flight coming into town that makes sense if you're a commuter or a business person. When you paid United to come here, they said, we're going to fly in here at noon. Now, this is probably the worst time of day to leave if you're a businessman trying to make a meeting, or if you're trying to make a connection in another airport 3 or 4 hours down the road. I'm glad to see that part of the resolution, you've asked them to start flying out of here early in the morning and flying back in late in the evening so commuters can actually use the service. But I'm just adamantly opposed to the idea of you spending any of our property tax money to a corporation that made over $20 billion last year, who gave their CEO a $9 million raise last year. And we're considering giving money that comes out of our finances, out of our income, to this giant corporation because they weren't smart enough to understand that it got hot here in the summertime. I mean, how basic is that? That's all I got. You guys, please, don't do that.
Thank you.
Thank all these rest of you.
My name is Mitchell Sutton. I live at 1520 Vast View Drive, and I am here on the Stout edition. I would just like to say, because one of the Stouts didn't come talk to me about it before,
Mayor.
all I would, what?
This is a matter for the public hearing that will be in just a little bit.
Oh. Thank you. I can't hear, but thank you. So I guess we have to wait for the public hearing. Thank you. That'll be up probably another hour. Another hour? We got a lot to get through here, but it could be up to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there other citizen comments?
Mike Isaac, I live in Lewiston. I also work at the airport as the airport director. Wasn't sure if I had an opportunity during your discussion to talk about the MRG with United. So I just wanted to make sure I sent off an email to all you this morning or this afternoon about the recent change with United. They, two things that they did. They increased their morning flight has continued past the MRG contract day of September. So that's a big change since last Friday. And the rate of load factors is 88.8% last month. It's averaged 83.5% for the contract time so far. So that's, now the averages are only good for, a rough estimate because they calculate their figures on a day-to-day, not a month. So my estimate would be about $1 million. United brings in $23 million of economic impact to the community every year. That's based on state data from 2018. So those are old numbers. It's probably closer to $35 million what it brings in. So cruise ships use it, yes. They use it every 3 days, but the planes are full all the time. That means it's used by all the people in the community. It's the front door of the community. The gateway to the east side of United States and beyond is through Denver. They're the third largest in the nation. They're certainly going to be the biggest in the nation in the next 20 years. They're only halfway built out. Seattle has just read that they, both American and Delta, have downgraded their long hauls out of Seattle. Seattle's overgrown, unfortunately. They're a great connection for us, and they are still our number one destination, I'll have you know. But Denver is really a community that we need to fly to for the rest of the world, especially all our eastbound connections. So just wanted to make sure that if there's any other questions that come up, I'm happy to answer them, but I wanted to get that out there. Thank you.
Mike?
Well, my name's Joe Gish. I'm living near Waha. I've got a Lewiston address, so hope that works. I'm here on behalf of the airport board, and I'm urging you to vote to approve the contract with United. Now, I understand what the man said before. However, I don't look at this as particularly supporting an airline. We're supporting infrastructure, and that's what the airport is infrastructure. And a good analogy would be, we have 3 bridges over to Clarkston, but if this bridge that connects downtown Lewiston to Clarkston were to go down, we would spend the money to fix it. And the reason is that there would be an economic impact to that. Even though we have other connections over to Clarkston, losing that bridge would be a huge blow to the city because we do commerce with the city of Clarkston. Now, if you look at United, they're a bridge to Denver, and from Denver, they're a bridge to the rest of the world, not just one location. And like the airport manager said, that's a $23 million impact per year, not just impact, but impact per year. Now, I was an airline pilot for Horizon, and I understand the challenges these airlines are going through. And maybe United hasn't been run as well as Delta, but there are challenges with pilot shortages. And we're starting to see the pilot shortage get better, but it takes a long time to train these people so that they can safely move us from, city to city in the air in this round tube that you're flying in at 300 knots. So I think that pilot shortage is going to be eased in the next couple of years, and we'll see these MRGs go away. But right now, every small town like ours is having to deal with the MRGs if they want to keep their air service. The other thing is, as a candidate for the county commissioner slot, the number one issue for residents now is their property taxes. And what's happened is the housing market in Lewiston has been ratcheted up because of people leaving the coastal states and coming to Lewiston. And so that property tax burden has shifted to those higher valued residential properties. But our commercial properties have not gone up the same amount. The airport is the number one economic engine for driving commercial investment in the community. What we need to do is we need to have that air service, attract businesses so that we pump up the values of our commercial, non-residential property, and that will ease the burden on the residential property taxes. So I urge you to vote yes to approve this contract and keep United here. And I will probably, if I win my election, we'll be dealing it with the county because it'll probably be their turn next time. And if they do, I will vote yes for it because it's that important. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello, my name's Lori Wilson, 1509 17th Avenue, Lewiston. I am the City of Lewiston's appointee liaison to the Lewiston Airport Board, and I work for American Cruise Lines. So I just wanted to give a few words in support of the Denver flight from an economic standpoint with the airport and American Cruise Lines. I'm up at the airport every day, 3 times a day. I'm there at that 10 o'clock flight when those Denver passengers come in. I talk to them. I hear what they're saying. I know how important it is to them to have that flight. We now, with those 3 flights coming in, we get about 95% of the American Cruise Lines passengers flying into Lewiston, not Pullman and not Spokane. What we're doing then when we're getting them in the day before, 2 days before, we're taking them to downtown Lewiston. We're taking them out to Hell's Gate. We're taking them out to wineries. We're taking them to downtown Clarkston. I mean, we are getting them here, and we're getting them here early enough so they can spend money. They can go to our restaurants, our bars, and do all of these things that we want them to do before they take off on their 7-day cruise. So it's really, really important, and I just wanted to ask for your support in that. I think from an airport board standpoint, we have come so far. We have air service that cities all over the country would beg for, would do anything to have the air service that we have. And I just hope that you support us in keeping it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Hi, I'm Mandy Miles. I'm on the airport board, and I've been on for almost 6 years. And when we started the airport, it was a joint part for the city and the county. The county has really carried a lot of the extra costs for the last 3 years, and we have not asked the city nearly as much. What I've seen happen is when I came on the board, it was literally in a chaos. And we had lost service and we weren't going to get it back. We tried. What's happening now is we've made a lot of successes that have come down with getting air service back. And if you're going to have a commercial airport, you certainly want to have good commercial carriers. We've got 2 of the best. And United certainly has made some mistakes as far as I'm concerned, and I was critical of that because they didn't look forward enough to see exactly how that heat was going to affect them. They've certainly made that adjustment now. What I believe is before the city council is going to be important because if we lose them, they're not coming back. And I think the absolute minimum is much more in line with what it's going to be for the RMG to cover that cost. I don't think it'll be anywhere near the 4 million. I think that's a pretty clear issue at this point. So we've worked really hard as a board to get service in here. Delta's been really successful now. We have United being as successful as they can be, and our numbers are so good that I really think that the amount is nowhere near this $4 million. That's the absolute maximum it could be. I really urge you to take a hard look at it, because if we lose United, we won't get them back. I'm not going to take the position that they haven't made some mistakes, but I think they've learned from them, and we've worked hard. And from the standpoint of an airport board, we've done everything that I think we were charged to do, which is try to get the airport back on its feet and have a good marketing program. We've marketed. We have way more income, and I think we're on the way to getting to the point where we will eventually be self-supporting. But at this point, we're kind of at a critical crossroads. I'd really like to urge that from the standpoint of the board and for what we've done, I'm thinking that we've done about as good as we could have predicted that we were doing, and I'm pretty proud of that in many ways. I would like for you to take a really hard look at this, because I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the maximum. I think it's going to be way closer to the minimum that's going to come out of this. And it's a real impact on the economic future of this valley. I think it's done well so far. We're in a good road, and the board's done its job. I think we need your support at this point. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miles.
My name is Jerry Chavez. I'm the president and CEO for Valley Vision. The office address is 313 Suite 201 D Street. I'm here to give a couple of words of support for the United Airlines contract. Understand that these type of decisions are very, very hard to come through and work through. So I appreciate the time and effort that you all spend in reviewing the situation. But in my career of 28 years across this country, 5 different states, 5 different communities, I look at advantages in a way to position ourselves to achieve our economic development goals. And when you start to lose some of your key assets, you actually start to put yourselves in somewhat of a bit of jeopardy in terms of trying to work towards your economic development goals. Things like airports in today's market, loss of connections, it's very commonplace. We can rejoice being in the Valley. Recently, we added a new location, right, to Seattle. How many communities would want to be in our position where we're saying we're moving our economic development ball forward? Still have a critical issues to deal with in terms of how you cover those particular costs. But I heard some key points today that I want to resonate. We're going to look at reducing our taxes. We do that by inviting more companies to come and operate in our valley. When they come here, we create more jobs. And with those jobs comes families. So it's an evolving situation, but once you start to chip away at that to the negative, then you start to impact yourselves in a spiral that's hard to come out of. So with that being said, I'm here to support that. I don't have the types of numbers that are presented here today, but I wanted to give you a sense of what I've seen in my career. I wanted to give you a sense of the importance that these assets play into achieving your economic development goals. And I want to thank this council for support of Valley Vision and our new launch of our economic development plan. I'm here to say that I think that plan is going to produce a lot of results. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but it starts to evolve. We have to come from a place that we weren't before, but I can certainly see us getting to that point in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Watkins, and I'm a Lewiston business owner, and I pay Lewiston property tax. And I just wanted to speak in support of the United Airlines contract. I know it's really hard to ask the council for something that eventually is going to be dependent on property tax income. And as a property tax payer, I feel that acutely. However, I think that the Lewis-Clark Valley has too high of a reliance on residential property tax. And we only have so many tools in our toolbox to deal with that. The council's hampered on what they can and can't do. One thing we can do is control what we can control. We can control air service to a certain extent. We have the opportunity to be able to do that with this contract. We don't have an interstate. We don't have a lot of things, but one tool we have is exceptional air service. And as a member of Valley Vision, we recruit what's called primary sector businesses. And primary sector businesses are those businesses that have locations here, they have buildings here, employees here, and they pay property tax. And the more that we can encourage those types of businesses to locate here, and they derive their income from out of the area and bring it back here as residents. It's not like retail that comes here and grabs our money and hauls it off. It's the inverse impact of that. So by recruiting more and more of those, we'll be able to help balance the disparity in residential versus commercial property tax. And so for that reason and many others, I'm strongly in support of the United Airlines contract.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening, Gary Peters, 1915 Cherry Street in Clarkston. I'm here in support of the library. Thank you. Just kidding. I'm also in support of the library. Sorry, to make sure you're still awake up there. Obviously here in support of the airport. I don't envy your position at all, none of you. You're trying to make up for 30 years of, maybe you could call them missteps, you can call them anything you want. There's no shortage of where to go with the pot of money you have available to you. There's no shortage to go in streets, sewer, water, projects, properties, you name it. And here we are with our handout wanting money to subsidize one of the largest corporations in the world. But what I can tell you, what we've learned in the 5 years of being on the airport board is you don't get these opportunities very often. These airlines make generational decisions. And I remember where I was the day in 2018 when the new CEO of Horizon flew into our airport unannounced and told us that we were no longer having service that we'd enjoyed since 1983. And Mayor, I know where you were that day because you were one of the first phone calls I got as a state senator. And I'm pretty sure everyone in this room probably remembers reading that article the next day wondering what in the hell just happened. Well, we didn't take care of business is what happened. We didn't pay attention to the airlines. We didn't communicate with them. And our sponsors, the city and the county, had no idea that we were failing. Well, we are here as a board to tell you we are not failing. The airport is hitting on all cylinders this time, for real. We've worked our tails off to get this service. We have a $300 million competitor 30 miles away, but we have all the air service. And it's because we've worked harder for it. We have the relationships. We have worked hard to get United in here. We worked hard to save Delta. The reason we have the extra Delta flights is from the United service. And think of this as a mosaic of tile. You start to pull one out, those other routes are going to suffer. United leaves, fares will go up, people will drive north, and now you're going to lose another route. And you're going to keep going down that enplanement ladder. We're not safe until we get 100,000 enplanements. That's a fancy word for passengers. We were there in 2018. Before my time, we were at 80,000 enplanements per year. One more year, we could have done it. And we could have kind of took a deep breath and sat back and enjoyed, being able to see ourselves through the 36 seat, the 52 seat, and now the 70 seat aircraft, which were improperly marketed. So our community had no idea. We were the worst performing airport in the history of Horizon Airlines, and no one reached out to them for 3 years. That's why they left. They had a 62% load factor. Now we're at an 83 to 89% load factor, but we're just in a different time than we were pre-COVID. We negotiated the contract with United. We had it done pre-COVID. We had it done during COVID. We had it done after COVID. We brought Delta in to take us to Seattle. We've been through pilot shortages. We've been through airplane shortages. I fully respect Mr. Kramer's comments and the property tax and why wasn't Delta smarter. We all know a CRJ 200 is not the correct route for Denver, but it's all they had, and we took it. It's a 52-seat airplane that's about as long as it will fly as to Denver, and you throw on reserve fuel for thunderstorm, and you got to start throwing people off. The E-175, the new 3-class jet that we run now to Seattle and Salt Lake, that's the airplane United has on the schedule for us in October. Is that going to cost us? Is it going to change? I don't know. That's fluid. But right now it's on the schedule. And if we could have that big jet flying to United and we get one more frequency of flight, whether it's one more Salt Lake daily, which we used to have 5, mind you, one more Seattle daily, or one more Denver, that's on pace to 100,000 passengers. We're this close.
Thank you, Gary.
So please support this. Let us finish what we started 5 years ago to fix this airport. We need your help. Thank you.
Mr. Alexander, welcome.
I'm Mark Alexander. I'm from New York. I'm a developer in town. Many of you probably know me. I've been investing in Lewiston for over 20 years. Can't believe it's been that long. I remember a similar topic back when we were debating whether to invest in the high school. And people asked me for my opinion. Again, I couldn't understand why they wanted to know what I felt. But my response was, if you don't think, if you're not going to invest in yourself, why should I? And I got to tell you, that high school is something to be proud of, just like this library is. I apologize, I don't know the details of the library issue. I flew from New York today, and one of the reasons always coming out is so nice that I get to avoid all the political crap that goes on in the East Coast, and sorry if I walked into it today as well. I got to tell you, I'm also sympathetic to the gentleman who spoke about the $4 million that we'd have to pay United, or did pay him, or wherever the number is going to land, because it certainly seems crazy to me that a small town would pay a large airline to provide a service. But that's a reality. That happens in other small towns. We're not unique. And I'm sympathetic to that. I also know that it's only part of the puzzle. And you've heard from other people here before me that there are positive economic impacts that net that amount. And that's something not to be dismissed. The issue that I had with United was the afternoon flight, because I can attest, I typically miss my connection going back to New York and end up on a red eye, and it's incredibly inconvenient. But they've fixed that. I think that's a critical point. And I was on a flight today, and it was full at capacity, and there was American Cruise Lines and all their passengers coming in ahead of time, and there was a representative here who spoke earlier. I saw it in spades today. It was wonderful. And that's all I'm trying to do as I invest here in this town, not to change anything, just to help make it better. Because it's just a beautiful place to live, and it's something that I would not want to touch or change. I really enjoy coming out here. I still do, after 20 years. With that, I urge your support for the United contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Hey, is there anyone else that would like to offer some citizen comments tonight before we close up? Citizen comments, anybody else? Okay, we'll close that and move on to presentations. First presentation, item A is a proclamation, National Public Works Week, proclaiming the week of May 19th as National Public Works Week and presenting the proclamation of Public Works Director Johnson. I'm going to read all three of these, Director. The second proclamation will be Emergency Medical Services Week, while proclaiming May 19th to the 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week and presenting the proclamation of Deputy Fire Chief Lucas, and he will make a presentation from there. Thank you, Don. And then item C is VFW Firefighter and Paramedic of the Year Awards, presentation of the VFW Firefighter of the Year and Paramedic of the Year Awards. Deputy Fire Chief Lucas will help us with that, and along with that, we have Doug Welch and Mr. David Jackson with us. So what I'm going to do is carry all of this down to the bottom with me. Oh, you know what? I have one more thing to do, and I apologize. I did tell Commissioner Havens, as a courtesy, I would read a letter since he could not be here tonight because of his office and co-owner of the airport. I agreed to read his letter, and this is the only one. We have other letters that were sent to us that were forwarded to the council members, and they have those in their records. So let me do this so I can stay out of hot water with them. May 13th, 2024. Mayor and councilors, my apologies for not being there tonight. I will not be back in town until Wednesday. As tough as the decision you have to make in a few minutes is, it's the reason why a small group of us sign up to be leaders. And some of those decisions are the ones that chart a course for a city to grow. The decision the county made just a few years ago involved risk also. We did not think it to be a perfect agreement. On the contrary, the chance that United Airlines may pull out was a real possibility. I know that the parameters of both of the agreements differ, but the one common trait we share as partners of LWS is the risk to succeed. We also share the risk to fail, but failure many times means missing an opportunity. Many of us have lived with Lewiston growing at a much slower pace than the rest of the state, even in boom times. Growth plays a huge part in the property tax burden. I have always believed that we need to invest in the assets we have, the ones that set us apart from other communities. Is the agreement perfect? No. Could it have been done better? Probably. Could we end up in a worse position as a community if voted down? I believe so. We will have more opportunities to work together and prosper the entire county and cities. As chair of the Nez Perce County, I ask you to join us in support of our airport. Sincerely, Chairman Doug Havens, Nez Perce County. All right, so I'm going to take something with me. This goes here. That's good. All right. Johnson, come back in. Services provided by our community are an essential part of our citizens' everyday lives, and we're to support them understanding that global citizenry is part of the efficient operation. Greatly depends on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities that both the planning, design, and construction is highly dependent on dedicated efforts and skills of public works personnel. And whereas this year's theme, Advancing Quality of Life for All, is about how public works professionals always enhance the lives of the communities they serve. Now, therefore, I, Dan Johnson, here in the city of Lewiston, proclaim the week of May 19th, 2024 as National Public Works Week in the city of Lewiston, Idaho, and call on all citizens and civic organizations to train themselves to engage involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions that public officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In witness whereof I have here on which set my hand and seal the city of Lewiston, I have and G. Johnson, Mayor of Lewiston, Idaho. Director, thank you very much for the work that you do.
Public Works Day is May 23rd. It's tailored towards school-age children. We've coordinated with most schools in the valley to come visit, all get your hands dirty and come see what we do. It's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's up at the fairground, and it's open to the public. It's tailored towards kids.
How are you doing? Good. Y'all, Chief Council, esteemed guests, pleased to represent the Lewiston Fire Department tonight and to introduce a member of the community to receive the proclamation on behalf of the Lewiston Fire Department. Private Chief Dave Chavall journey with the Lewiston Fire Department began as a reserve firefighter on March 14, 1988. In the ensuing 3 decades, the dedication and expertise saw him ascend the ranks, culminating in his medical retirement on this past March 31st. A consciousness of unwavering commitment to protecting others through more than 30 years of firefighting service. Chief Smy became beyond the service. He was instrumental in the era of emergency medical services across the Valley. As a member of the inaugural paramedic class of the Lewiston Fire Department, he laid the groundwork for enhancement care of our community. Even after retirement, Chief Chavall's devotion to EMS remains undiminished, as evidenced by his application to serve on the EMS Advisory Board as a citizen of Wyoming. Throughout his career, Chief Chavall's influence was felt far and wide. His expertise reached the highest levels of EMS education, where he imparted valuable knowledge to future generations of responders. Additionally, his tenure as a flight paramedic with Life Flight, his contributions to state EMS committees underscore his unwavering commitment to advancing emergency care standards. Chief Chavall's legacy is one of the tireless advocacy and unwavering dedication to the betterment of EMS in the Hudson Valley and throughout the state of Idaho. Tonight, we are honored to have Chief Chavall accept his proclamation from Mayor Johnson and the City Council, a testament to his enduring impact on our community.
City of Lewiston, Idaho, whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services team are ready to provide life-saving care for those in need, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically increases for vital and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Yeah, whereas emergency medical services have grown and filled the gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical providers. And whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Yeah, whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of these service providers by designating the emergency medical services. Yeah, the City of Lewiston proclaimed the week of May 19th, 25th, 2024 Emergency Medical Services Week. City of Lewiston, Idaho. The 50th anniversary theme is EMS Week, honoring our past, forging our future. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. In witness whereof, I have the honor to set my hand and seal in the City of Lewiston, Idaho, and fixture to the State Day of Faith 2024, Daniel Johnson, Mayor of Lewiston, Idaho. Chief, congratulations.
I'm not gonna say much other than we're here tonight to honor one that's we're building the ringer. He's since retired, but he still will always be a member of our department. We also have two other black gentlemen from the DFW, Mr. Doug Welch and Mr. David Jackson. They're going to be presenting with us tonight. Engineer Michael Leach, BFW, very good for your work. Citation, it's a BFW National Emergency Medical Technician EMT Award awarded to Engineer Michael Leach in recognition and utmost appreciation of his dedication and selfless service to the Lewiston Fire Department. During Engineer Michael Leach's outstanding career, he has demonstrated a record of extraordinary and courageous service to the community and to the nation. Exceptional devotion is illustrating of the esteemed core values and traditions of the profession of emergency responders, further evidenced by the high degree of admiration and respect for both his peers and the local public he serves. Engineer Michael Leach is truly a premier example of all EMTs, and this honor reflects the proudest ideals and values of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. Signed, the Commander-in-Chief, Dwayne M, and Admiral Dan West. Rich, get the photo. Next, we have VFW firefighter here, Engineer Nick Stevens. VFW National Firefighter Award Engineer Nick Stevens in recognition and utmost appreciation to his dedicated and selfless service to the Lewiston Fire Department. Very Engineer Nick Stevens' outstanding career has displayed an exceptional record of exemplary and courageous service to the community and to the nation. His extraordinary commitment in keeping with the esteemed core values and traditions of the firefighter profession further manifested by the high degree of admiration and respect of both his peers and the local public he serves. Engineer Nick Stevens is truly a role model of all firefighters, and this honor reflects the proudest ideals of the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. Signed by Commander-in-Chief Dwayne M and Adjutant General Dan West. All right. Thank you, Chief. Yes, sir. Again, David, thank you both.
Just when things are getting good, people are leaving. Entry fee, the rest of it, here we go. Okay, council, next we will move to Roman number 5, public hearings and related action items. Item A is a public hearing, ZNC 24-1, accepting testimony on a zone change proposal by 3D Stout LLC at tax parcel RPO 15350010010, generally located north of the old Spiral Highway, south of the city limits line, immediately west of 1520 Vasview Drive, and containing approximately 17.6 acres of vacant land, be rezoned from agricultural transitional F2 zone to light industrial M1 zone. We have with us our assistant city planner, Ms. Katie Hollingshead, tonight. How the public hearing process will work is that I will open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation from Ms. Hollingshead. We will accept testimony from the applicant or a presentation if they have one, testimony from the public. The public will have 3 minutes to provide testimony for or against the application. Council, you will have opportunities to ask questions of the staff, the applicant, and/or persons providing testimony. No additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. So that will be the time to ask any questions you might have. With that, I will declare the public hearing open at 7:30 and turn the floor over to Ms. Katie Hollingshead. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant Planner, here with an application from 3D Stout LLC. We're calling this ZNC 24-1. This is a proposed rezone from agricultural transitional F2 zone to our light industrial M1 zone. So as usual, we're going to start with some maps and then some photos. So our subject property is approximately 17.6 acres of vacant land, is located generally north of the old Spiral Highway, south of our city limits line, and immediately west of 1520 Vasview Drive. You can see on the map, it is outlined in black with the hash marks and our permit number. Our applicant proposes to rezone from the agricultural transitional F2 zone, like I said, to light industrial, which is our M1 zone. Then same map, just with that zoning layer turned on, that agricultural transitional zone is that light green color. And then that M1 zone is that purple color you see. So there is a portion of M1 zone just to the east. The property is large enough that this is not considered a spot zone by state of Idaho regulations. Some photos of the property itself. So I am right across the street at the entrance to Kenworth Truck Sales, looking basically due north at the subject property. So you can see there's a low area. They have cows on there currently, and it kind of slopes upward, but there are some like dips in it. A lot of elevation changes happening on this property between it, the roadway, and the adjoining properties. So then pivoting, you can see the home at Vasview Drive, 1520 Vasview Drive. This is, I've kind of turned a little bit to the east. You can see it sits up a little bit higher than both the roadway and the subject property. And then pivoting again, this is that entrance, like I said, to Kenworth Truck Sales, and you can see their large sign there. Again, elevation changes, so you dip down into Kenworth Truck Sales as you enter their property, and then on the other side is the subject property. And then turning one more time, so looking kind of southwest, you can see the some of the port property there across the road. That's Highway 12. You can see the Sheriff's Department with the jail, and then I believe like Bromley Steel, FedEx, and there are a couple other uses across the way on those port properties. And then finally looking west down the old Spiral Highway. So subject property is on one side, and then going down that slope to connect back up with the intersection of US Highway 12 on the other side. Go back. back and have the map up while we speak. So as I said, and you've seen on the photo, subject property is currently vacant land, some of which is utilized for cattle grazing. Adjacent property to the east is one single-family dwelling. Adjacent property to the west is also farm ground. Property on the south side of Old Spiral Highway is also vacant ground, and property on the east side of Old Spiral Highway is that light industrial M1 zone and contains Kenworth sales, Spiral Highway storage, which is the mini storage location, and Sutton salvage. That was that purple area that I showed you on the map with the colors. So beyond the subject property, which is what we're discussing tonight, and only that subject property outlined in black, so this does not affect the properties that surround it, only this one parcel owned by the applicant. The request is to go to that M1 manufacturing zone. The applicant also owns the 84.31 acres adjacent to the northwest, which will remain as farm ground, that F2 zone, and then a portion of that is located outside in the county under their zoning designations, not city designations. And subject property, like I said, has varying topography, with the Old Spiral Highway sitting at approximately 970 feet, and that flat farm field portion where you can see kind of where the cows were hanging out is about 60 feet difference in elevation at 1,030 feet in height. The request to go from the F2 agricultural transitional zone to that M1 light industrial zone is in conformance with our comprehensive plan, which calls for this area of North Lewiston to have future land use designations of industrial. The city has a relatively small amount of land that is zoned M1 and available for light industrial uses. There are pockets of light industrial M1 zone lands in other sections of North Lewiston, along the levee on the south side of the Clearwater River, in portions of along portions, of the river in East Lewiston, and then along Snake River Avenue and southwest of the airport along Airport Place. As stated in the comprehensive plan, North Lewiston is the preferred location for industrial zoned lands, and the subject property is close proximity to both port-owned property and zoned property, port-owned and zoned property, which is one of the larger landowners of industrial zoned lands within the city. This close proximity lends itself to creating a compact industrial area with both easy access to Downriver Road and State Highway 128. Both of those roads are truck routes and classified as principal arterial streets, which is appropriate for that type of development. I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Katie. Councilors, any questions? Katie, it looks like we have a member of the public, so why don't we take some testimony from him, and then we might get back to you. Mitch, were you going to pitch?
My apologies, I had to run earlier. We're putting in a big machine and I had two Spanish gentlemen waiting on me and I had their bags in my pickup.
Perfect timing.
So I didn't want to jump in again. As far as it goes,
Please introduce yourself to the council.
I'm sorry, Mitchell Sutton. I live at 1520 Vast View Drive. The home you saw in the pictures is mine. I also own Sutton Salvage across the road, but we're in the county, so we're out of the zoning here. This piece of property below me, which we discussed at the last council meeting that I was at, I just wanted to point this out. They have to figure out a way, as far as it goes, for the large natural gas line that runs across the top of that property. This, to me, is not really useful because the city has a hard time getting to us when it snows for a big part of it. So Old Spiral Highway is the last one to get plowed. That corner at the bottom, if you turn this into an industrial park, me and my wife were discussing, I don't know how we're gonna, that gets blocked constantly. So how are you gonna change the bottom curve? I'm looking at the picture right now, that always gets plugged up. I don't know how many times I've had to take my front end loader down and help trucks get out of that corner until they get around to plowing us. Also, as far as it goes, I can't stop you guys from doing anything. I'm not trying to stop business from being promoted, but I would like the fence line to be fixed And I would also like some kind of privacy fence, so I'm not looking at an industrial park that when I bought that property, it was going to be a cow field forever. The port has 35 acres adjacent to it that they can't develop and haven't sold any of. So I just wonder why we need a bigger industrial complex right next to it. Other than that, as long as, I mean, I can't stop you guys from signing off on it, but there are some issues that need to be fixed between our properties before that would happen, that I had to sign off just to build my house. I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know if there's too much more I can say.
Thank you, Mitch. Let me check in with, guess I didn't ask, is the applicant here tonight? Yeah. Got that backwards, but it's not going to hurt us. We'll tell. My apologies.
That's all right. My name's Doug Stout. I'm the manager of 3D Stout LLC with my two brothers, Dan and Daryl.
You're going to have to speak up a little bit because we want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, sorry. I'm the manager of 3D Stout LLC with my two other brothers, Dan and Daryl. We own, as Katie said, the other 85 acres. Plus, in total, there's 470 contiguous acres that continue to go up Old Spiral Highway. So we looked at this property as something to bring income into our families as our families grow and everything. And talking to Katie and the crew, which Katie's fabulous at walking through everything. This was a piece of property that we decided that we would like to try and rezone and move this into kind of how that area seems to be moving. And if you look at the port, I've listened to all the port meetings. They are now breaking ground soon on that 35 acres because they have brought in Admiral Beverage, Force Slide. Now Ag Pro of Lewiston is moving in there. So you can see, I think it's expanding and there will be a need for this. Plus it won't be port ground. It will be private ground that we can put up for sale for our own. So with that, as far as the gas line goes through, Mr. Sutton had to deal with the gas line going through there. The gas line goes through Mr. Johnson that bought that property from my parents. And I'm sure he's going to come. It will be an M1 zone that he will do. He's going to build a shop there. So, you know, basically everything around there's been M1. The city, we've talked, or talked to the city, the entrance, the most viable entrance is right across from Kenworth. They have no problem with that. And I guess other than that, I don't need to comment to the snow and anything to that. I think the city and the county does a great job of plowing. I don't see any issues there. I'd be willing to take any questions.
Thank you, Counselor. Do you have questions of the applicant, Mr. Stout, correct?
Yes.
And or Mitchell Sutton from the public? Okay, I don't see any questions. Thank you. Ms. Holland said, do you have anything? If not, we will close the public hearing.
The extent of my presentation, unless there are questions from council.
Council, questions? Thank you, Katie. With that, I will close the public hearing. Councilors, next you have before you, and thank you, Mitchell, for being here, and Mr. Item B, first reading ordinance 4918, considering implementing the City Council's decision in CNC 24-1, declaring that certain real property be removed from agricultural transitional F2 zone to the light industrial M1 zone, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston This is an action item, and again, we have our Assistant City Planner with us here, Ms. Katie Hollingshead.
So this would be the ordinance, if council so approves, the request for rezone.
Counselors?
Mayor.
Counselor Forsman?
I don't feel like, did we answer some of those questions that were raised?
So truthfully, a majority of the questions raised by Mr. Sutton are private property, dispute situations, not, things that council would decide on.
I figured.
So if he has a question about a fence, that's for him and the neighbor to figure out. Council is not in charge of the gas line. Council is ultimately in charge of snow removal, but I don't know what that has to do with a rezone request.
Counselor Schroeder?
I move to approve. Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, seconded by Counselor Lidke to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4918. Is there discussion or amendments? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Brockie?
Approving the first reading of ordinance 4918, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston implementing the City Council's decision in ZNC 24-1, declaring that certain real property be removed from the agricultural transitional F2 zone to the light industrial M1 zone, amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, will next move to the consent agenda, Roman numeral 6. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the councilor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items moved from the consent agenda. Counselor Schroeder?
I move to approve.
Second. Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, seconded by Council President Kleberg to approve the consent agenda. Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder, Councilor Spiegelmeier,
Aye.
Councilor Klein,
Aye.
Councilor Lidke.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, councilors. Next, we move to Roman numeral 7, active agenda item A, RFP-24-007, water and wastewater SCADA support services. Considering awarding RFP-24-007, water and wastewater SCADA support services to Advanced Control Systems LLC, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement between Advanced Control Systems LLC and the City of Lewiston. This is an action item, and we have with us here tonight our Information Systems and Security Director, Mr. Dustin Spooner. Dustin, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record. Remember to speak up loudly and clearly. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight we're looking at RFP 24007 for City SCADA Support Services and its recommendation of Advanced Control Systems LLC. SCADA is basically the central nervous system of the city water and wastewater systems. It's critical the SCADA system is managed with great care. The system changes need to be done safely, securely, and with reliable outcome. The committee unanimously agrees that we're making the right choice with ACS, or Advanced Control Systems LLC. They are ranked the highest in the evaluation process. I can dive into the SCADA network a bit, or the scope of work of ACS. We also have some budgetary numbers on there, summary, in your summary. But ultimately, the staff recommends the City Council award that RFP 24007, Water and Wastewater SCADA Support Service to Advanced Control Systems LLC.
Thank you, Director. Councilors, questions? Everybody know what a SCADA system is? Okay,
I don't remember the acronym, but I know what it is.
pretty
I
important.
thought initially that everyone was here to hear about this RFP, but we've seen some cleared out. So
Mayor,
Counselor Lidkey,
I would move to award RFP -24-007 to Advanced Control Systems LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement between Advanced Control Systems LLC and the city of Lewiston.
Like, oh,
been moved by Counselor Lidkey, second by Counselor Spickelmeyer to award RFP -24-007 to Advanced Control Systems LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement between Advanced Control Systems LLC and the city of Lewiston. Is there further discussion? Clerk Brocky?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Lidkey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, counselors, and Clerk Brocky and Director Johnson, or Spooner. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Counselors, next up, we have active agenda item B, resolution 2024-13, considering authorizing the destruction of certain finance department records. This is an action item. Finance Director Gordon is here if you need her. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Lidkey,
I would move to approve Resolution 2024-13.
Second.
been moved by Counselor Lidkey, second by Counselor Forsman to approve resolution 2024-13. Is there further discussion?
Mayor, that was Counselor.
Oh, pardon me. Well, I don't hear well. I admit it.
I
Counselor
mean, I don't
Schroeder.
mind them seconding. It wasn't me.
Okay, for the record, moved by Counselor Lidkey, second by Counselor Schroeder to approve resolution 2024-13. Clerk Brocky.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Lidkey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, counselors, and Clerk Rocky. Item C, resolution 2024-15, considering approving a resolution supporting Lewiston City Library. This is an action item, and I will turn the gavel over to Council President Kleberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have a resolution that I'm sure everybody's seen, Resolution 2024-13. I do have a brief summary that I'll just go over here, but I would strongly urge the council to approve the support of this resolution. So in Section 1, we're committed to help maintain public libraries which serve our communities by providing free and open access to print and digital books in support of all citizens who seek knowledge and information in pursuit of learning and recreation. Particularly recognize the role of a public library in the introduction of children to books and storytelling, social interaction, and teaching responsibility and care of property. We also support the need for parents to take responsibility in supervising their children's use of the library. And this resolution shall become effective upon its passage. There's a copy here. I don't know. Can we get one printed up for Director Johnson? Oh, you have one? Okay. So we do have one that could be hung in the library.
Motion here?
Counselor Kleberg has the floor.
That's what I meant, Mayor Kleberg.
Would entertain a motion.
All right. I move to approve Resolution 2024-15.
Second.
Council President Kleberg.
Discussion?
Yes. I'm trying to figure out, don't we have this same resolution in support of our library? Don't we have on record that we support our library in all those ways?
Not that I'm aware of. I was presented with this draft at the, as liaison to the library board. And it's pretty much what they had drafted for us to approve, but I don't know that we have, legal have any ideas?
Council President Kleberg, I'm not aware of any existing resolution that is same as this particular one and addresses these particular issues. However, I don't know if maybe somewhere in our records there could be something like this. That particular type of search was not done at this time.
Okay.
Follow up.
Well, since it goes back to 1901,
I guess my question is if this is in sole response to House Bill 710, I love that it states that we support our library. I'm trying to figure out how us as a city council or as a city and as a community who showed up greatly has not supported our library. And so I'm just trying to figure out what this does to help us. Is this something that we need to do to go after more funding or to stand up to a law that is affecting us? Because as I read through this, and I have spent a lot of time, and I am an avid reader. In fact, it asked me anything about the state of Wyoming and their minimum revenue guarantees. I spent a lot of time in that in the last few days, but I'm just trying to figure out what this does to support an already fantastic library.
no, ma'am.
So I guess my question to follow up with that is I had kind of a common one is that, so this resolution is supposed to allow the city to circumvent House Bill 710?
Not at all.
Am I to understand that this is similar to the a dam resolution, but that's, but you know what I mean? Isn't that kind of where we're basically saying we support our dams here in Lewiston as a statement to that? Is that not the similar objective is how I understood this? You could, I don't know if you can answer that for me, but.
It says clearly here, enacting resolutions not inconsistent with state of Idaho laws, meaning that we will follow the law when we're asking for the resolution be passed in recognition of the services the library does for us here in Lewiston and across the 48 other.
But Section 1 circumvents House Bill 710. Section 1 of this resolution circumvents House Bill 710.
Excuse me, Councilor Spickelmeyer. Assistant City Attorney Jennifer Tangano. This particular resolution will not supersede that. There's nothing that the city could do to circumvent the implications of House Bill 710. And beyond that, I don't have any other opinions as far as the intent behind the resolution, but the resolution itself cannot circumvent state law.
Everybody clear on that? Yes. Counselor?
Yeah, I'm clear on that, absolutely. But I think that this is being done because we want to unite against those things. And we want to support our library any way we can. And this is one way we can do it. And it brought out a lot of people to see us tonight, right? And so I think it's all in good motion to do this and support it. And I don't see any reason why we should be tearing it down at this point. I think it's a good thing. And I support it.
Council President,
Yes.
before you go, Director, and I appreciate that you came to the mic. My questions were not in, to tear anything down, and I would appreciate that you not assume so. My question is this going to help? And I understand the intent behind it. I very much like the statement. We also support the need for parents to take responsibility in supervising their children's use of the library. I very much like that line, because with the statute, we cannot legislate parents. But I also have a job where I work with people that have cognitive barriers, and I can tell you that harmful material left to their own accord without guidance can be very detrimental. And when we talk about minority, the minority sometimes brings an issue to light. It created conversation, not great conversation from time to time, but what I would like to see is a resolution that says that our director, through the whole thing, never had our community come out against her and her staff. In fact, they were commended. And if they were, then it wasn't brought to light, because I've read through newspaper articles that said, you know, we got a letter from a political group. I understand that. That was sent out across the state. I'm simply saying, if the resolution is to just go along with the state, I don't tend to like to go along with the state. I would rather have a resolution that speaks to Lewiston and what we're doing here and what we have been doing here to educate and grow our children in the way that I see every day in this library. So I'm not support of this. I just don't quite understand if we're doing it for the right reasons, or to simply say we're going to follow along with a trend. I'm not a trend follower. I would like to say that we came up with our own language for our own town and our own library. Simply was going to be my statement after the question was asked.
Can I address, Lynn Johnson, Library Director, can I address the question of avoiding or going around House Bill 710? On our current board packet that was sent out this week, you will see that we have a draft policy for the board to consider. We have been working hours and hours with the city attorney's office, with other city attorneys, including those in our capital city. So we are doing our best to ensure that we have a policy that follows 710 accurately, because quite honestly, the bill is very confusing and has many libraries in this state in a great state of confusion, including one who actually shut their doors because they haven't figured exactly how to deal with things. And they are rearranging. So at this point, we have no plans to do that. Our board will be considering this policy that we feel like we have put a lot of time and energy and our best judgment into. So that, I don't believe, is the intent. The library staff greatly appreciates the support of this community. We have never felt like we have not had the support of this community. I believe this may have come whether 710 passed or not, because I think our community is aware that there has been pressure for the last 3 years on libraries. So we do appreciate their support, whether a resolution passes or not, but we have no intention of trying to get around state law.
Thank you, Director. Further discussion?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Councilor Klein,
Nay.
Councilor Lidke,
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Mr. Mayor, back to you.
Thank you, Council President Kleber.
recess.
Been asked that we go to east for about 5 minutes, so we're just gonna go to east for about 5 minutes, so we can empty our bladders and then come back and pick up the conversation. come back to order. Thank you, counselors, for being prompt. Next item for discussion on our active agenda, Roman numeral 7D, Resolution 2024-16, considering declaring Lewis Clark Animal Shelter, Inc. as the only reasonably available vendor for animal sheltering services in accordance with Idaho Code 67-2808, subsection 2. This is an action item. Captain Clone is not here tonight. Are you the sergeant at arms tonight? You're not filling in for Captain Clone, I presume?
I started out filling with Captain Clone, and I filled in for the chief, and so
Boy, he's in trouble. I'll tell you that. Did Chief Cusick leave?
the chief had something. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so. Bree,
So I guess you're stuck with me.
You and I think Captain Clone owes you coffee or something at a minimum, so please, welcome, introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Assistant City Attorney Breanne Drury, and I am here to present this sole source for the animal shelter contract to you this evening. In front of you is Resolution 2024-16, which declares animal shelter, or the Lewis and Clark Animal Shelter, as a sole source. Currently, our police department brings animals to this shelter. It is the only shelter that is local to impound animals. This can be anything from a dangerous dog, so a dog who has bitten a human, or some dog or cat that is just running stray, causing issues. Our animal control officer utilizes the shelter a lot, and so we are hoping to enter into a contract with them starting in the fiscal year of 2025. But before we start considering what terms are within that contract, we would like your support in declaring this animal shelter a sole source. Idaho code permits us to declare it as a sole source based on certain circumstances. And here, the closest shelters besides in Lewiston are in Moscow, Pullman, and Orfino. All of these locations are over 30 miles away from us, and it is practical and economically advantageous for the city to contract with the Lewis and Clark shelter. It is cost saving, ensures operation and efficiency of LPD are not threatened by travel time for our police officers and or our animal control officers by traveling outside of our jurisdiction here in the city of Lewiston. Again, reduces travel time and inconveniences for the citizens who need to pick up their animals that were impounded. So if there was a dog at large and we cannot locate the owner, then we would bring them to the shelter, and then whomever's dog that is would need to go pick that dog up. It would be an inconvenience for that person to travel outside of Lewiston by over 30 miles in order to do so. The resolution also lays out quite a few other reasons why we would declare this a sole source. I will not bore you with all of those reasons since you have that in front of you, but I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Bree. Counselors, any questions? Counselor Forsman.
I know it's been a common theme that the shelter has been full, so we've been having to reach out to, I think, citizens that are so kindly willing to house for a while. Does that play into any kind of issues with having that?
Great question, and you are correct. That has been an issue. We are hoping to address that in the contract, and we have made that very clear to them. And they are willing to work with us in order to ensure that there is a provision in the contract if we were to go forward with a contract with them.
Counselors, further questions? Counselor Schroeder?
Before I make a motion, I just want to know, as long as my dog hasn't called somebody and said his owner is missing tonight, do you have any provisions for that?
I don't know. Don't get in trouble. You better read up on city code.
I know. Could happen. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2024-16.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Spickelmeyer to approve Resolution 2024-16. Is there further discussion? Clerk Brockie?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer, Counselor Klein,
Aye.
Counselor Lidke.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Clerk Brockie. Councilors, next up, item E, Resolution 2024-1, considering approving an air services agreement between United Airlines, Inc. and the City of Lewiston. This is an action item, and I will take the lead on this, councilors. And rather than reading this to you, because you have copies of it, the agenda item summary, and then you were also provided with correspondence today from our city attorney on this agreement. And so without trying to draw this out, unless you have any additional questions, also Director Gordon is here tonight too. She can answer any questions you may have, but I would like to ask if the airport director, Mike Isaacs, and maybe our airport board, Gary Peters, if they would like to share anything last minute with us before we get into this discussion. You are certainly welcome to do that. We cut you off at 3 minutes earlier, but if there's something we missed or didn't understand, this is your opportunity to make sure that it's clear before we have this debate and vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and councilors. I don't know if I was trying to hurry up in my 3 minutes. I wanted to make sure that you understood if I conveyed it, 83.45% is the average over the 6 months of the first 7 months of the contract. So when you look at that scale of the cost, one of the delays that we had is, well, we're not going to pay United forever here. Show us a way out. Show us where you will make profit here. And they did. They gave us that scale. And at 77 or 75% load factors, when the plane is 3/4 full, it would cost $1.7 million over that year. At 85%, it's only $618,000 per year. So it's a pretty minor subsidy considering what they bring to us. With that 83.45, we're pretty close to the 618. That's averages, like I mentioned before. So I just want to make sure that you know that we're strong at this stage, and I don't see that changing.
Thank you, Mike. Gary, anything to add to that? Please welcome. Introduce yourself again for the record.
Gary Peters, 1915 Cherry Street. Thanks. I was trying to hustle a little bit earlier too. I just want to thank the council for, I know there's a lot of diligence that's went into this. You know, we've been working on this for almost 7 months, and I know, Mayor, you've worked very hard at dotting I's and crossing T's. And the reason we're in such a different position than a lot of these smaller communities, say such as Pocatello, such as Twin Falls, you know, Flagstaff, Arizona, Salinas, Kansas, Los Alamos, Texas, it's because they don't have 2 network carriers. There's 3 network carriers in the world: American, United, and Delta, meaning you can get on an airplane from that hub and go anywhere in the world. We have 2 of them here. And that was a lot of the homework that needed to be done, is if we enter into an MRG, you know, with one, then what happens to the other? And Mayor did an excellent job of protecting the city and reaching out, and I think a great job of diligence gone in to get us here tonight. And the other thing is, you know, I kind of touched on it earlier, but the involvement of these jets, you know, it's happened quick. We've gone from a 36 to a 52. Now 2 of the 3 airplanes that fly out of here are 70-seaters. This is the last one. This is the last 52. This is why we're having to help United, because we both know that's the wrong jet for this route. There just aren't enough to go around. If you remember right, when we started this negotiation, the E175 was also an option as an upgrade for part of the revenue guarantee. But what happened about 4 months ago when we were in the heat of that was the Boeing MAX debacle. So when Boeing had to ground all those MAXes, United had to backfill those routes with 175s. So the 175 went off the table. Well, now Boeing is getting those airplanes fixed, back in line, and I'm quite certain that's why you see the E-175 back on our route as of last Thursday, is because they probably have ships available to put on this route, which is going to alleviate the heat problems, having to knock people off in the middle of the summer because of the loads. The CRJ-200's a dog. It's just not a great performing airplane, but it's what we had to start the Denver service. We were fortunate to start it, but we just got to get through this time with the pilots, the planes, and just appreciate your support in doing so, and hopefully we get bigger planes and the numbers get cheaper and the performance gets better and we get to that 100,000 and we don't have these kind of talks. So appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, Chairman. Councilors, I'm just going to throw this open. You have got a lot of information, and what's on your mind? Councilor President Clayburgh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the one that kind of sticks out is the term of the agreement shall commence on October 1st, 2023, and shall continue unless terminated September 30, 2024. So we're already on the hook for 8 months. Does anybody have any idea what that number looks like?
Mr. Isaac, can you go through those numbers, please?
We've repeatedly asked for the first 2 quarters of invoices. However, they've been silent. Our consultant thinks his recommendation, the reason why is they're a major company that doesn't put out invoices for, unless you have a contract. They don't create that, so.
This is a contract.
It's not signed. They don't have, once it's signed, then it gets processed. There's multiple departments that this goes through. So it would be hard. That's why we've asked multiple times for it, and they have not. And that's our best assessment of why.
Okay.
Mr. Isaacs, can you go through what you know of our load numbers, however?
Right.
And can you say that number that gets us to the 618?
So overall, for the month since October of last year, I got the number, my notes right here. Now, there's some nuances about the holidays in the winter. It's like I've only been here 4 years, but every Christmas, you guarantee it's going to snow. You're going to have problems with the flights. So there's delays in January. So in October, we had 85.9%. November, we had 85.5. December, we had 83.6. January, we had 75.7. February was 78.8. And then March was 85.9. And then last month was 88.8. So when you average those all out, we're at 83.45, which is right exactly what the industry standard is.
Councilor Ledke.
I'd like to make a motion.
Motion's in order.
I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 2024-1.
Who's the second? Mr. Honor? Yeah, I don't hear. I'm going to get red lights for everyone.
They make these little things you put in your ear.
And if I can speak to my motion.
Councilor, moved by Councilor Lidke, second by Councilor Schroeder. And Councilor Lidke, you may speak to your motion.
You know, I've lived here my whole life. I've flown out of Lewiston, I've flown out of Spokane, I've flown out of Boise, I've flown out of Pullman. I want to take a moment to say that leadership is not easy. I will say that Commissioner Havens' comment about, this is a leadership decision. And as I've spent a lot of time looking into this issue, asking questions, going to businesses and saying, will you support this? Because that's what we need. I can't pull imaginary businesses out of my pocket to support this, but I do believe that growth is absolutely necessary for us to move in the right direction. We can still be small town. Again, I spent a lot of time reading literature about Wyoming, a state that is not booming, but they are being successful, and they have a lot of support from their state to cover these costs. Things that we need as leadership to say, this process was not the greatest. We're signing a contract, or we may be signing this contract 8 months into it. We'll do better this time. I believe it as we move forward. We will recruit more businesses to come to the table and figure out this funding source. We need to pressure Boise to support us, not just in this, but in a lot of different ways. But I would like a win. Wouldn't everybody else? Wouldn't we like to say that we didn't walk away from something that we had to spend decades coming back from? Yes, it's a gamble, and I do not like saying to our constituents that I took a gamble that I didn't fully believe in. But I have seen the hard work, and I have seen what losing things can happen to a community. And I'm telling you right now, the state of Idaho is growing. And I would like to see some of the money that's going down to Treasure Valley come back our direction. And I am committed to working towards that. I'm committed to figuring out what is going to be the magic that makes us still small town, still with a little F2 zones that people can raise their family and raise animals and do all those things. And I think we can get there. But if we don't have a tax base and we don't have growth, we need to start making decisions about where we're going to live next, because we're not going to be able to do it here. We have crumbling infrastructure. We need to attack that. So I know that I'll be judged tomorrow by my actions tonight to say, I'm willing to take a chance, because thank you for these numbers. They're not guaranteed, they're not official, but I've seen the work that the airport board has done. I've seen the work that has been done by the community to welcome economic growth. And I'm willing to say, I'd rather come up with a solution to make up for a mistake I made and be accountable for that than walk away and say, I failed this community in a way that I can't come back from. So I am going to support this resolution.
Councilor Speckelmeyer?
Mayor, I guess my biggest thing, I really appreciate him. We've hired them to help us with our economic development. Look at the big picture, the $4 million, and I get it, it shouldn't be there. But if we tell the public $4 million, they say, okay, well, every other month we're up here talking about how can we afford to do Brighton roads? How can we do the fire station? How can we do Main Street, the parks? And we never have a solution. We just kick it down the road, but here we're gonna hand out and say, here's $4 million outside of the budget, which I'm 100% against spending outside the budget. If this came within the budget, I'd be all for it to put in the budget, but I mean, I'm really on the fence on what way to go. I like Jerry's input. Then if you hire somebody, you better follow what they're suggesting, or you might as well fire them. I guess I'm still on the fence, but I'll let the others speak.
Councilor President Claiborne?
Well, I'm doing my own little part, just so everybody knows. I'm heading back to Chicago June 20th for about 5 days. And by golly, it'd be the first time in probably 15 years that I'm flying out of Lewiston. And check the prices all over the place. It's about $150 difference between here and Spokane, but for $150, I'm 4 blocks away from my driveway to the airport. That's worth it.
Councilor Forsman?
I don't like the contract. There's a lot in there that I feel like we're put on the hook. We weren't given a lot of options to even go back and forth. I 100% agree that our airport is important, but I also think that transparency is important for our taxpayers, and this contract doesn't give that. There's a lot of unknowns. There's not really a lot of guarantees at all for us. I would say there's probably none. I see that there is obviously revenues being built and we have passengers, but I know there's also still a lot of people that can't afford to go on our flights right now, even as it stands, and do fly to Spokane. I just can't agree with this contract the way it's written. It's a lot of unknowns, and it doesn't even seem like we have United in continuous contact with us about these unknown answers. And I just wouldn't, in my gut, I would not feel right making a decision with taxpayers' money, and especially when we're always trying to figure out where to put money and improve our infrastructure, without having some kind of better contract and guarantee where we have something to say that, yeah, we did our due diligence and we didn't just roll a dice and hope it happened the way we hope should it happen. So at this current time, I'm not in support of it.
Schroeder?
I guess I'm up, huh? Airlines, okay, for 24 years in the airline travel agent business, things have changed. The smaller cities have to do this in order to have service. I mean, seriously, I've watched little towns get pulled away, their service, time after time. So I know that to be true. And the airlines are always right. And I know that to be true. And I'm going to support this. It's a really bit out of my comfort zone to do that, but this is progress, and we just need to go with it. The airlines will do the best they can until we don't support them. So it's up to us to support the airlines that are here to the best of our abilities, and we will do well with them. So I do support that.
Mayor?
I'm done.
Councilor Forsman?
I just want to reiterate, I don't have a problem with the minimum revenue, and I have looked into other cities that have did this, and this is a common occurrence, and I understand that. However, this contract and the way it is written isn't common, and it doesn't put us a lot of leeway. And also being, I think you said 8 months behind, I'm not comfortable with that. We weren't in that contract. I'm not sure why we're held back and responsible for something that was 8 months ago when we weren't already in contract. That is where I have the disagreements. I'm okay with the 4 million. I understand we're trying to make flights, but I am not okay with how the contract was done.
Thank you, Counselor. We have a motion on the table, so I can't. Counselor Klein?
I just wanted to give my 2 cents, I guess. I can't support this. United made a bad business decision, and they lost money for it. And now they're asking us to pay for it. Any other business, I couldn't support that either. You know, you go into a business to make money. If you make bad decisions, then you lose money. That's on you. They moved the flight. There's no guarantee. I know when we brought it to the table previously, we wanted to make sure that they could guarantee that they had that morning flight. They didn't actually. We're going into agreement pre-making this agreement. There's no way they can go back and move it to a morning flight. It's in the past. I feel like with our numbers the way they are, it's proving to United that we can have these high numbers. So I feel like it's up to United to take that chance on us like they already have since October. $4 million, because that's what you have to basically promise, whether we pay that $4 million or not. That's still taxpayers' money. If there's any kind of emergency that comes up, we won't have the funds to pay for it, and I feel like that's putting the city in a bad position.
Further council comments? Okay. Clerk Brocky?
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Nay.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer,
Nay.
Counselor Klein,
Nay.
Counselor Lidke.
Aye.
3-3.
3-3.
Correct.
The mayor's got to get in the middle of this, huh? I could have predicted that. Well, I tell you, I have been through the ringer on this thing. And, you know, I'm not going to point fingers or place faults at anyone, but it has not been a good process to go through. It is not the way to do business. And I hope that things can be better. The communication has to be better. I was pleased with the numbers that we heard tonight that the airport director brought to us. Months ago, back in January, when we were first introduced into this idea, and we were told that if we worked really hard, we could do this for $600,000, but as much as $4 million if things didn't go the way that we wanted them to go. And hearing the numbers tonight, it sounds like we might be in $1 million, I don't know, $1.5 million so far. Numbers are pretty good, but I don't think we're going to hit that $4 million mark. And because of that, I am going to support the motion. And it's a lot of money, but we're not going to hit the $4 million. If we're going to hit the $4 million, I can't do it. We have a lot of other things happening at the city. I can tell you right now that we need our business community to step up to the plate. And I don't mean filling the airplanes up. They're going to have to maybe open the checkbooks up and help provide subsidies for these things. That's how it works, is the businesses get involved too. It doesn't have to be just the governments that are taking care of this. So that's the only thing that I would ask of the community, of the business community, that they help step up to it. Many of you have stepped up in other ways, but when it comes to this airline, we're going to have to talk about ways to keep it going, because my guess is they're going to come back to us in October for another guarantee of some sort. And we should start talking about that tomorrow, not next February. That doesn't work. That puts us in a very terrible position. And then we get to the point where we start not liking each other, and that's not the way to do business. And we lose transparency, and it doesn't feel good. But I appreciate all the comments that were shared up here. I do have a level of confidence in the performance of the United route today, that we're going to be able to manage these costs. And so again, for that reason, I will support the motion. The mayor votes aye. That the motion passes. Next up, councilors, we have item F, ordinances. Number 1, second and third readings. Item A, ordinance 4915, considering implementing the city council's decision in ANX 24-1 to annex land into the Lewiston city limits. This is an action item. Our assistant city planner, Katie Hollingshead, is here if you need to visit with her. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor?
Councilor Schroeder.
I move to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4915.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Lidke, to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4915. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Schroeder.
I move to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4915.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Kleberg to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4915. Is there discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Rocky.
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4915, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston implementing the city council's decision in ANX 24-1 to annex land into the Lewiston city limits and providing an effective.
Thank you, Clerk Brocky. Item 2, adoption and approval of ordinance summaries. Item 8, ordinance 4915. Action item.
Mayor,
Counselor Schroeder.
motion to adopt ordinance number 4915 and approve the related ordinance summaries.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Schroeder, seconded by Counselor Licky to adopt ordinance number 4915 and approve the related ordinance summary. Is there discussion? Clerk Brocky.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Councilor Klein,
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Item G, resolution 2024-11, considering implementing the city council's decision in CPA 24-1, amending 2 neighborhood number 7 East Orchards maps of chapter 6.7 of Lewiston's comprehensive plan. This is an action item. Schroeder.
I move to approve resolution 2024-11.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Kleberg to approve resolution 2024-11. Clerk Brocky.
Council President Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer,
Aye.
Councilor Klein,
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Item H, ordinances number 1, second, third readings. Item A, ordinance 4916, considering implementing the city council's decision in CNC 24-2, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the city of Lewiston's low-density residential R2 zone and amending the official zoning map of the city of Lewiston. This is an action item. Excuse me.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey.
I would move to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4916.
Been moved by Counselor Licky, second by Counselor Schroeder to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading and fall of ordinance number 4916. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Counselor Licky.
I would move to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4916.
Second.
By Counselor Licky, second by Counselor Schroeder to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4916. Is there discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Rocky.
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4916, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston amending section 39-1. Oops, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Let me restart. Approving the second and third readings of ordinance number 4916, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston implementing the city council's decision in ZNC 24-2, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the city of Lewiston low-density residential R2 zone, amending the official zoning map of the city of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Item B, ordinance 4917, concerning amending section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the city of Lewiston area city impact boundary map. Action item.
Mayor,
Councilor Licky.
I would move to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4917.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor moved by Councilor Licky, second by Councilor Speckmeyer to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4917. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
I'd move to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4917.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Licky, second by Councilor Speckmeyer to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4917. Is there discussion of amendments? In favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Brocky.
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance 4917, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending Section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the City of Lewiston Area of City Impact Boundary Map and providing an effective date.
To adoption and approval of ordinance summaries. Item A, ordinance 4916, action item.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 4916 and approve the related ordinance summary.
Been moved by Councilor Spickelmeyer, second by Councilor Schroeder to adopt ordinance number 4916 and approve the related ordinance summary. Clerk Rocky.
Council President Kleberg?
Aye.
Councilor Forsman?
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder?
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer?
Aye.
Councilor Klein?
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey?
Aye.
Carries. Thank you, councilors. Item B, 2B, ordinance 4917, action item.
Mayor,
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
motion to adopt ordinance number 4917 and approve the related ordinance summary.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Spickelmeyer, second by Councilor Lidkey to adopt ordinance number 4917 and approve the related ordinance summary. Clerk Rocky.
Council President Kleberg?
Aye.
Councilor Forsman?
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder?
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer?
Aye.
Councilor Klein?
Aye.
Councilor Lidkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Clerk Rocky. Item I, reason statement CNC 24-2, considering approval of the reason statement of relevant criteria standards for CNC 24-2. This is item. Councilor Schroeder.
Move to approve the reason statement for ZNC 24-2.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Kleberg to approve the reason statement for CNC 24-2. Favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Reason statement is written. Next, we have Roman numeral 8, items moved from consent agenda. We have none there. Roman numeral 9, unfinished and new business. Item A, city councilor comments. Comments shall not be related to an item currently before the city council or an item that may come before the city council in the foreseeable future. It shall be limited to comments, not discussion. Councilor Kleberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say thanks to everybody who took time out of their evening tonight to come and talk to us about a couple different things and the presentation of the firefighter and paramedic awards. It was a big turnout. Need more chairs. That's what I got.
Mayor?
Councilor Forsman.
I want to highlight two things this weekend. So Saturday, I went to the Orchid Award, and I got to hear the history behind the buildings that were nominated, what they used to be called, their streets used to be called, and how they got renamed. And so that was an honor to be able to hear the history of our Lewiston, and those that were a pivotal part of making Lewiston what it is today. Second thing, I took a ride along with Officer Raymond. He's the youngest on the force, just 21 and a month out of training. But he was professional and did amazing, and you can tell that he has a huge passion for protecting and serving his community. There was probably the most exciting ride along I've been on. I've been on one before, and this one definitely had a possible hostage situation and threats to shoot at the police officers. So it was definitely a little bit nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time. But even with all that, they made sure I got out of harm's way and that my safety was a priority. And then they went on with their business to make sure that the rest of the citizens obviously were taken care of. It ended up working out in their favor. The person was apprehended and taken to get much needed mental help. But it was definitely eye-opening to see the passion and the day-to-day that these police officers go through. And I just want to thank them again for that. I've also been told during my Citizens Academy police training that they are now working towards our firemen going in if an event of a active shooter situation so that they can provide quick and fast aid to those that have been injured, hopefully increasing or I should say minimizing deaths that happen in those unfortunate and horrible events. This isn't something that our firemen really sign up for, is to be put in that kinds of harm's way. So those that are stepping up to say they're willing to do it is amazing. Not only are they already going above and beyond with fighting fires and putting themselves in that kinds of harm's way, but now they're even saying they will go in and be put in the line of fire with our fellow police officers to help save those and increase the amount of lives that they can save. And hopefully that will never happen here in Lewiston. But to know that is on the minds of those that are protecting and serving us, and especially with our children, is honorable. It's also amazing to see how well our firemen and police work together. There are some cities that have animosity between them, and they do not have the relationship that our citizens have here, that our police and fire have with each other. And it just goes to show how important they take their jobs here, and that providing that unserviced match, that providing that service comes with them working as a team, and it is apparent. And so I thank my firemen and women. I don't have any women yet. You guys need to work on that. And our policemen and women for everything you guys do. And it's definitely been eye-opening this past several months working with both fire and police. So I thank you guys.
Counselor, other council comments? Counselor Schroeder?
Roundabout in Clarkston. If you didn't see today's front page of the paper, it was really laid it out clearly where it's going to be closed off in Clarkston for them to work and where you can access. So sometimes it's easier if you could go on the Southway Bridge to get to where you're going. So if you can get that article and read it, it's really clear. And so we all need to be prepared for the roundabout work. Roundabout.
A roundabout way.
A roundabout way. How did I come to get that?
Oh, you've had it. Keep it. It's yours now.
Other council comments? We'll move on. City boards and commissions, liaison updates. Anything we need to hear tonight?
Oh, I just did it. Sorry.
That's it? Dr. Lidke?
I would just say that I attended my first development impact meeting. I would like to speak to the fact that I think this is going to be a very successful endeavor. I appreciated the developers that were in the room, had a robust conversation, and I think this will result in a revenue stream that up until now we may not have had an answer for.
Oh, Counselor.
I just had the Public Works one. I know we already announced it, but I'm going to announce it again. Public Works Day, May 23rd, the fairgrounds from 9 to 2. The schools, some of the schools are participating. I don't remember which schools, but also if your child's school is not participating, you can always take them yourselves if you feel that you want them to learn about what we do every day at our homes and keeping our plumbing down and how it works and where it goes. So I took my son to it and he loved it. It was very educational. They had the exploding toilet. And then after we walked away, he said, "Mom, was that really poop water that they just sprayed on me?" And I said, "No, it was clean water." He was not going to be happy if that was poop water, but as he called it. So, but yes, it is very educational.
The counselor. Next up is mayor comments. The only thing that I would like to share, and I'm going to ask for some help from the officer in the back. Could you tell us what's going on tomorrow at 9 o'clock? Yes, the memorial service. Could you just give an announcement to all the counselors here?
Police memorial.
The police, oh, no, that's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. The police memorial, I think is tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 to 10.
9 o'clock at the
In front of the
police station. So everyone's invited. Counselors, if you're able to attend, will honor our fallen officers. I think 5. LPD will have a ceremony tomorrow honoring their service and their lives. So, thank you. Item D, Roman numeral 9, item D, agenda topics. We had enough for a night? Okay. Number 10, adjournment. Moved by Counselor Lidkey, second by Counselor Speckelmeyer to adjourn. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.